Recent IPO stocks are getting crushed as well. This is venture capitalists are holding a meeting to warn startups of the downside of IPOs, favoring direct listings. Deirdre Bosa is here with that story. Hey, Dee.
Hey, Morgan, that meeting getting underway just a few blocks from here at the Palace Hotel. The agenda is titled Direct Listings, a simpler and superior alternative to the IPO. Well-known VCs like Benchmark's Bill Gurley and Sequoia's Michael Moritz are talking to startups about the benefits of that route and the drawbacks of underpriced IPOs, which provide less capital for those companies. Now, they're holding this meeting on a day that recent IPO names are getting crushed. You named a few of them: Lyft, Uber, Smile, Direct Club, Peloton, all trading well below their debuts. Slack, though, we should note, one of two direct listings ever not immune to that sell-off. Guys, back to you.
Dee, thanks so much for that. For more, let's bring in Merci Victoria Grace, partner at Lightspeed Venture Partners. What is your take as to where we stand in the broad IPO market and whether direct listings are a way out for some of the companies planning to list, given the negative headlines of some recent IPOs?
Yeah, direct listings are something that work for companies that have a strong consumer brand and critically don't need to raise money from the public markets. And they can be good options for companies that fit both of those things. And they can also be good for investors, as Bill Gurley has said quite famously now, who feel like they're leaving money on the table.
So in light of that, Merci, I mean, if there are companies that would not necessarily be candidates for direct listings, what then? Because it certainly seems like, in general, the VC community and the private markets would like to see some changes made.
I'm not sure what to tell you about those companies.
Okay.
What's your take on whether this could have helped a WeWork, though? I mean, clearly WeWork faced problems due to the scrutiny that the traditional listing process offered, but it also desperately needed to raise capital. So it's kind of an odd dichotomy as to whether direct listings actually offer the right sort of alternative for the companies that need a traditional IPO process.
Yeah, given WeWork's cash position, they were not going to be a good candidate for a direct listing. And I don't know that we can draw a lot of broad conclusions from WeWork, which is a very specific example.
Do you think more broadly the sort of party's over, as it were, for tech-related IPOs? There's been just one too many high-profile either pulling the IPO or listing and seeing the stock price decline, like we were talking about with Uber down 40% since May.
No, I think the IPO market is definitely still open for companies that have an efficient business model and are attacking a really large market. The companies that we see having trouble are consumer brands that don't have a totally differentiated offering for the public and that can be easily subbed in for something else. So this is where you see Lyft and Uber, where taking a ride from one place to another is effectively the same. And it's pretty different for companies that have very differentiated marketings and revenue retention that's high and better business models.
Merci, we were having a conversation on Squawk Alley, another CNBC show, earlier today about the IPO pipeline with a CEO of a right now private company. And one of the things he said, he listed as a potential uncertainty when a company is looking to go public right now is the 2020 election. Do you see it the same way?
No, I don't see it the same way.
Okay, well, we want to get your thoughts on some other news of the day as well while we have you here. Your take on Facebook. The Verge released some leaked audio of a recent Q&A session with CEO Mark Zuckerberg. Here's what he had to say when asked about politicians and their recent push to break up Facebook.
Like Elizabeth Warren, who thinks that the right answer is to break up the companies, if she gets elected president, then I would bet that we will have a legal challenge, and I would bet that we will win the legal challenge. So does that still suck for us? Yeah, I mean, I don't have to, have a major lawsuit against our own government. I mean, that's not like the position that you want to be in when you're, it's like we care about our country and like want to work with our government to do good things. And but look, at the end of the day, if someone's going to try to threaten something that existential, you go to the mat and you fight.
Senator Warren responding to this story on Twitter in more details just a few minutes ago. In one tweet, writing, quote, Zuckerberg himself said Facebook is more like a government than a traditional company. They've bulldozed competition, used our private information for profit, undermined our democracy, and tilted the playing field against everyone else. She continues, my plan to hashtag break up big tech would undo their illegal, anti-competitive mergers. You'll still be able to use Facebook and Instagram to catch up with friends and family and share photos of your dog, but they'll have to compete with each other to make a better product for you. Merci, how likely do you think it is that with all the antitrust scrutiny on companies like Facebook right now that we're actually going to see breakups?
I don't know how likely that is. Obviously, it depends hugely on who's actually elected president in the next election. But what I do think is troubling is that we do have a Democratic election coming up, and Facebook is a platform that has really an outsized voice in whose voice gets heard, and they're inviting warranted scrutiny because of this.